Hi everyone, I'm JD from Willowbound Journals, and we are now up to the stage of binding our journal for the Faith Journal course that I'm running on my channel. So we've made the cover, we've got our pages ready for our signature, and now we are going to bind it in to the cover and our journal will be complete. So if you are new here and want to follow along with this series, you definitely can. You can jump in anytime. It's a go at your own pace course, and the videos will always be up for you to go back to and follow along with. So you can go ahead and make your cover, gather your pages, and then what we want to do is either paper clip, bulldog clip, or I use the long bobby pins as my clips to hold my pages in place. And what I like to do is just center the pages so you can see there's an even gap around all of the edges with the pages. And just make sure that I push in the hinge here, the spine, make sure it's really pushed in there. And then I've threaded my needle here. This is a tapestry needle, so it's got a bit of a wider eye to fit through this embroidery thread or embroidery floss. It's got about 6 or 5 strands to it. I just get this from the local cheap shop, but this one in particular, such a stunning color. I've been saving it. It was from my grandma. I got passed down a whole bunch of embroidery thread from my grandma. So I am using this one for the first time. You'll need an awl as well. I got this from the local cheap shop as well. And basically you're just going to find the rough middle, doesn't have to be perfect, and you're going to go straight through the middle there. So you see that? There we go. We're doing the 3-hole pamphlet stitch method. So we're going to go in through the middle here, and now I catch it at that thickest part of the eye, so that when I come down here to poke my hole at the bottom of the journal, the pages are locked in place. They're not moving because this needle is keeping them from moving. So then I'll come straight out here and go back through this hole. I'll pull the thread through. Now what I want to do is I can see how much thread I'll need. I'm going to need about this much thread, so I pull it through to about that much. I pull this middle thread down quite taut so that I can go through this hole above it and not catch that thread. So then I come back through here. Now all that thread is holding it in place. So now I can go to the top hole here. Again, I'm just eyeballing it. It doesn't have to be perfect measurements or anything. And then I'm going to go back through here, and I keep it closed. You notice that I don't open the journal to poke my needle through. I'm keeping it closed so that the pages aren't moving. There we go. Now I open it, but again, I'm not opening it to the full capacity. I'm just opening it so I can get into there. And same thing, I'm not going to open it all the way up because I want the pages to kind of stay as close as possible when I'm doing all of this. Now I'm going to wiggle until that's taut, and then I'm going to hold these threads tight so I can check how tight they are. And if it's loose, I'm going to pull a bit harder on this thread. And I just want to hear that kind of snap sound. So you don't want it so tight that you can't lift it at all. But I don't like loose bindings. I like as tight as it can go pretty much without it being super tight. I also, it doesn't really matter with a journal this thin, but I just put pressure here and push those edges in because they have a habit of pulling out. So I just push those in and then come back here, find the center, and you saw that I came under here and pulled it through so that that catches and it's not moving anywhere. Then I'm just going to trim off the ends And I will tie a double knot. Sometimes I do a triple, but just for a small journal like this, I'm just going to do a double knot. And of course, if you left your threads long, you can add all sorts of things like buttons and charms to them. You can have them hanging out the bottom of the journal if you want, but I like a neat, tidy look, so I'm just going to cut them there. Some people like to cut them shorter, but I went to this effort of binding it. I want to see the threads. I like knowing that I bound it with the 3-hole pamphlet stitch method, and I want to show those threads. Now I remove the bobby pins, and here is my beautiful binding on the outside. I choose a color that sort of complements the journal, so I've got the blue here to match all the blue on the cover, and there's my journal. Yay! If you have some of your pages sticking out over the cover, you can go ahead and just trim those down. You might like them hanging over the edge. If you do, you can leave them, but yeah, I like them placed inside the cover, so you see they're all inside the cover. And that's just, over time I kind of learn how far in I need to cut the pages before I bind it. So that one, it all worked out really well. I don't need to cut anything down, but if you would like to do that, you can definitely cut anything down that you want. And yeah, I hope that was an easy tutorial for you to follow along with my tips and tricks of things that I've worked out that help me. Because my biggest problem when I first learned how to bind was that the holes kept changing and I wouldn't be able to get my needle through because they had moved. So that those are my methods to keep them in place. And then the other issue that I had was just going through this thread, and then in all sorts of trouble I just cut the whole thing and redo it. But I just pull that thread down so I can go in through that hole without getting that thread. And the final tip that helps me is to go under this thread here with the needle so that it locks it in place and it's not going to move while you're trying to tie your knot and then it becomes too loose. So those are my 3 biggest tips for your binding. But if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments. Just give it a go. You can always, do a few attempts. It doesn't matter how many tries you go at it. I've had to cut mine off and try again a few times with journals if it's just not playing nice. So yeah, keep going, keep persisting, you'll get it. And the more you do it, eventually you'll work out your own tips and tricks that work for you. But yeah, I hope that you will give it a go if you haven't yet. And yeah, it's a really good way to bind your journals. I love it. I really, really love it. So now we've finished our journal. In the next section of this course, we're going to go into the reflection section where we come up with our sentiments for our faith journal, where we're going to be writing down our I am statements of who we are in Christ. So have fun making your journal, and I'll see you later on with the next video in this series where we're going to get into some reflection and journaling prompts together. Thanks for watching. Bye guys. A big special thank you to my beautiful patrons who supported me in April. If you like my channel and would like to support it as well, there are a few ways you can do that. One is by becoming a patron, where you get access to all my extra videos, including my member videos and the journal making series each month. And depending on your tier, you also get access to every digital kit in my Etsy, plus a new one each month. And there are various mail tiers as well, where I send you some goodies in the post. You can also support my channel by becoming a member of my channel by clicking the join button, and all of the information and links are down below in the description box if you are interested in supporting Willowbound Journals.